I'm super jazzed to be talking today about our new quality control feature. When folks talk about building an IT operation to support business goals, they're usually talking about doing things fast. We rarely spend the same amount of time thinking about quality. How do we make sure we're doing the right things the right way? Well, it turns out we can take a page from manufacturing and turn our attention to quality management. At its core, that QC is always going to be made up of two things. First, we're going to select some set of cars or tickets or whatever to apply a test to. And then we're going to have a test that we apply that's a standard of known good that we're going to measure against. Now, most IT teams don't actually do this in a structured way. You might have a senior analyst who kind of like roves around looking over people's shoulders, grabbing a ticket or two. Oh, I would have done this something differently, that sort of thing. But the issue is that by making this ad hoc and unstructured, it loses most of its corrective power. So maybe the analyst picks the right ticket and maybe they spot an error or two, but that's a lot to hang on chance, right? The ideal would be to have that ad hoc stuff turned into an actual process. Define a structured test suite, the things to go look at, and then define a structured sampling regime so you can actually make sure that you're selecting the right tickets and then checking for the right things. So let's dive in. Just to orient, the Fixify platform pulls IT tickets out of your existing ticketing system, uses AI to classify them, then map them to existing playbooks and our smart playbook technology, and then route the work to be completed. The feature that we're looking at here allows us to define and execute a quality control process at the end of that to make sure that we're getting the quality that we want for every ticket. The way that we do this is we define what's called a selector. Every selector is made up of a set of selection criteria so we can really drill into certain parts of the organization, together with the test suite that we're going to run and our sampling interval. So basically what I can do is I can define things like, let's say I have a new analyst in my organization and I think that they might need some additional scrutiny because they're just new and they haven't fully gotten there. So I'm new in the organization. We're going to select every ticket that I work. We can select a test suite. In this case, we're just going to use the default, which checks things like response times, prioritization, decision-making, that sort of thing. And then we have a random sampler here. And what I can do is I can go ahead and set the sampling interval all the way up to 100%, which means every single ticket I work is going to be put in the quality control queue to be looked at by a more senior analyst. In the exact same way we do that, we can also say, hey, we've launched a support for a new feature. So for instance, I'm going to say this ticket category, application configuration, something new. We haven't been doing it for that long. We want to go ahead and again, we'll just use the default test suite, but I want to say, hey, I want to get about half of the tickets. Let's just make sure that we're doing them right. By sampling at half, I'm really likely to catch errors if there are any. And then over time, as our support improves and we get our feet underneath us, we can reduce this down further and we might end up, normally our sampling interval would be around 10% or something like this. So I've defined my sampling policies in my test suite. Let's go ahead and take a look at what it looks like when we're running one. So in this screen, this is what happens when one of our senior analysts clicks and goes into running a quality control check. This ticket came in and somebody was requesting some help with greenhouse. The ticket has been worked over here in this screen. And over on this side panel, we see the quality control check. The system automatically created a report, and now we're going to go through and check each one of these tests. Every one of the tests can either pass or fail independently, and then that passes or fails the entire quality control check. For instance, we're going to take a look at our first response. We have our criteria right here, for instance, hey, how fast did we respond and did we respond to this request? And so we've got some requirements for how to assess this thing. And once I take a look at those, I can check and say, okay, we actually got on it quite quickly and we responded with decent terminology. So as a result, I'll go ahead and say that passes. Similarly, I can look at the triage decision. Was this thing routed in the right way? Did we assign the priority properly? And then where did the end user sentiment end up? What was the quality of the solution? Did we actually follow the right steps in the playbook? That sort of thing. And so all along we can go ahead and have these, and then I have the ability to add additional notes if I want. Once I've gone ahead and passed or failed this thing, those results are collected and can be reviewed by the operations staff to figure out, do we have problem areas? Are there particular analysts who are struggling and need additional training? Are there particular playbooks that aren't working well? Is there an integration that's struggling? That sort of thing. And that allows us to really have operational control over quality in the organization. So that's our quality control feature. We're super excited about it. It's allowed us to keep operational control over overall quality with a rapidly expanding customer base and a rapidly expanding team. If you're interested in more information, we published a blog post, but we'd also be happy to talk more about how this applies in perhaps your daily work.